The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3 just came on. Spoilers ahead, we're going to discuss it. Feel free to come back later if you haven't watched it. Oh man, this episode seemed to kind of set us up for the rest of the season. The beginning of the episode is just so heartbreaking. We see Ellie wake up in the hospital. She realizes what has happened to Joel. Just seeing her reaction to realizing that Joel is gone, it just breaks my heart. See what's going on in the rest of the town. Obviously, a lot of people have passed. They're processing it. A lot of things are broken. We see Tommy come face to face with the realization that his brother is gone. He's mourning Joel. He tells Joel to say hi to his daughter for him. It's just a lot. And so you could see like the whole town is really suffering a great loss. So it shows us that 3 months have passed now. Ellie is feeling better. She finally is released from the hospital and she goes home for the first time and she's confronted with, all of Joel's things. She sees his watch, she sees his, clothes that he passed away in. She goes into his closet and is like, crying into his shirts. She is just, obviously just brokenhearted. And it's just terrible that they left things off the way that they did because she never really told him how much she cared about him. So Dina comes over, she baked Ellie some cookies and she goes, "These are some cookies so you'll forgive me for what I'm about to tell you." So basically she admits to Ellie that she's kept some secrets from her. She did obviously know way more about the wolves, about Abby and her friends than she let on. She said that the hospital staff told her don't stress Ellie out. So she kept it from her, but she did tell Ellie, "You're the first person I'm telling. Here's everything I know." And Ellie's like, "Yeah, we gotta go get him." So she talks to Tommy. They discuss bringing it up, amongst the town, and the townspeople would decide, basically the council would decide whether or not they would allow 16 people to go with Ellie to track down Abby and her friends and, eliminate her. So the town meets and you hear from several people in the town. Some people are completely against it because they're like, hey, the town is still suffering. A lot of people died that night, not just Joel. If we sacrifice some of our best people, who's gonna protect us if someone comes to the wall? Or, so it's a little risky to let some of their best people go out on this mission. Presently Seth, the homophobic guy from that first episode, is like, "What are you guys talking about? We have to go fight. We have to go eliminate them because if we don't, that just looks like we're just like, that's fine, come and get us." So he is on Ellie's side and Ellie, you can tell, is like, okay. But Ellie gives a speech. She wrote down a speech. She basically tells people we're in this together, we're one family. If something happened to you, I would also want to go help you. So you can kind of tell, especially Gail can tell, Ellie is a bit of a liar. Sometimes she says things to manipulate people. And Gail has that conversation later with Tommy. So Ellie, I don't know if she necessarily would actually go out and help avenge someone else's death, but she's trying to reach the town folk and let them know hey, join me. But unfortunately the council downvotes it. It doesn't get passed. And of course we know that Ellie is gonna go and seek justice for Joel. So Gail and Tommy meet later on. Gail's just watching some kids playing baseball and they have a discussion about Ellie and, she basically is like, "Ellie's a liar." And Tommy's like, "Well, I think she lies. I don't think she's a liar." She's like, "No, I think she's a liar. I think she's, clearly gonna do what she wants." I don't know. This was an interesting scene and I liked how they shared a beer. We are introduced to a group of people traveling with this strange symbol on their back. Most of the men are bald. There's women and children with them and they're walking and all of a sudden someone whistles and they're alerted that wolves are in the presence. So you're like, oh no, wolves? Yikes, what's gonna happen to them? Dina shows up to Ellie's house and is basically like, "I know what you're doing. I know you're gonna go. And if you're gonna go, you gotta be smart about it. So let's do this, let's pack this, let's plan." And so she comes with a map. She's like, "Meet me at this place at this time, we're gonna go." And so Ellie's like, "Okay, sweet." So they meet at the wall and this guy's there and he actually provided them a lot of their stuff to go on this voyage. And he reaches out his hand for Ellie to shake and she does. He's trying to make up for what he said. I don't know. I don't really know the backstory of this character, but I don't know. It was an interesting moment. He gives her a better gun, is like, "This one's better, take this, let's trade." And he sends them on their way. Ellie and Dina make a stop at the cemetery to pay respects to Joel. I thought it was really sweet that Ellie left a bunch of coffee beans at his grave. I felt like they talked about that in the first season, he really loved coffee and she was like, "Ooh." I read somewhere the significance of the coffee beans will come up later in the season. I didn't play the game, so I'm not really sure. But I thought that was sweet. Ellie and Dina are on their way. They're, on their way to Seattle. They're like a rainstorm and they have to stop. They finally discuss the kiss that happened at New Year's. And Dina's like, hey, what would you rate it, out of 10? And Ellie's like a 6. They have like a little convo about it. And you can tell like they both like each other. They both are, kind of flirting. But Dina is not necessarily like laying all of her cards out on the table. I'm sure they're going to address their like relationship status later. But, we can tell that they both like each other. When they start their voyage again, they come across that group of people that we saw earlier in the show. They see like one of the men is on the floor. He is gone. And Dina sees what happens to the rest of his travelers and she throws up. Ellie goes to check and there are just a bunch of people that have been killed by wolves. And so they realize like if this was Abby and her friends, they're even more messed up than we think they are. And so that sets us up for realizing how dangerous this group of people might be. So Ellie and Dina do make it to Seattle. They're like, it's a little quiet. Isn't it too quiet? They're walking around. And then we see Manny, one of Abby's friends, the one that kicked Ellie in the stomach. He's on watch. He's looking around. We're like, oh no, they're on the lookout. They're probably going to be found out. And then we see just how many people are in the wolves. This is a huge group of people. They have like cars, they have guns, they are like fully loaded. And so Ellie and Dina are up against a lot of people and it's not looking good. It looks pretty intimidating. And this is where the episode cuts off. The preview for next week's episode looks absolutely insane. It looks terrifying. Ellie and Dina get stuck in a very tricky situation. I'm already stressed out about next week, but man, I enjoyed this episode, but it did feel like just the kind of episode that's like a stepping stone to get us to the rest of the season. Like it's really setting up some big plot points. I don't know. I enjoyed it. What did y'all think?